This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve. We've managed to find a big group of whiteback vultures that have just had a bath in a little waterhole over here. Look at how they're standing there drying their wings. Welcome to your very own live safari from the wilds of Africa. Welcome back to Beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve. My name is Damon, and behind the camera we've got Marcel this afternoon. And like I said, we've come out here into the open plains of the far south of our reserve. We've managed to find this big group of whiteback vultures. And we've been sitting here for a couple of minutes now. We were alerted to their presence by them all diving out of the sky. And very often when you do see vultures diving out of the sky, because they feed on carrion, it can often be an indicator that there's a carcass nearby and perhaps some large predators. But in this case, they were all just coming down to have a bath. And contrary to what is often popular belief, because vultures eat carcasses and they feed on carrion, it can be quite... many people think that they are quite dirty and smelly, but contrary to that, they quite enjoy a bath, and that's exactly what these ones have been doing now, cleaning themselves in the water and now drying themselves. Now, of course, this is a live and interactive safari, and we'd love to hear from you. So please, if you've got any questions or comments, send them through on Twitter using the hashtag WildEarth. If you're under the age of 18, you can also send us your questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Look at how they're all ruffling their feathers, busy drying themselves off. Laura, you're saying hello, Safari peeps. Sounds like you are excited to be on board with us, and we're super excited to have you on board the world's biggest safari vehicle. But as I was saying, busy ruffling their feathers, drying themselves off now, and it's very often at this time of the day that these whiteback vultures, as well as many other vulture species, will bath so that they can make sure that they dry off their wings quickly, and therefore they're able to take off without being hampered by their wet feathers.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, where you find us with the wonderful Nkahuma Pride of Lions. Hello, everybody. My name is Steve FAULCONBRIDGE, joined by Craig on camera. Very excited to have you with us. Please bear in mind we're live, we're interactive. We would like to hear from you using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Throw your questions in the YouTube chat stream or at FC on Twitch. If there are any kids out there, they can also get some questions sent through to kidquestions@wildearth.tv. A very special warm welcome to all of our SABC viewers. It is a very nice 26 degrees Celsius, and this pride of lion, who you've all met before, is all out in the sunshine. Oh, was that hard work, little one? It's a little cub. There are 9 of them in this pride. The pride is going from strength to strength. We found this pride this morning with only 5 of the adults, but all of the cubs, but none of the big burly Avoca males hanging out. Now they are just taking it real easy. Don't know if you can see on the right there, Craigie, behind those two. There's the 2 cubs are actually suckling. It might be a little bit out of your reach there. There we go. You can actually see the ears. 2 cubs there having a little bit of milk. Joe, lions are always lazy. They pretty much do this all the time. You know, lions can sleep for up to 20 hours a day, and going through bouts of moving, hunting, and toilet breaks. This morning they were quite active, and they generally are active, most active, when the temperatures are cooler. So actually, in winter, there's more of an opportunity to find them moving about in the day than there is in summer, especially if they're hungry. In summer, it gets hot by 8 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock, and lions normally by that stage have found a very shady spot and are just taking it real easy. Like this, except even easier in the shade. I am not the only one out on safari. TRISHALA NAIDU has found something she'd like to show you.
My lovely flap-necked chameleon is also enjoying the sun. Being a reptile, these lovely sunny days after these cold wintry ones is really good for it. Like I said, this is a flap-necked chameleon, the only chameleon we get here in the Sabi Sands in Djuma. Isn't that just lovely? My name is TRISHALA, and I've got BK on camera this warm afternoon in the Sabi Sand, and we are very excited. We've been off to a wonderful start, and I'm so glad that I could show you one of the smaller things that we see around here. It's very difficult to spot chameleons during the day, but I know that this one was staying on this tree for the last 2 days. So I came along to check if it was around, just in case it wants to show itself to all of you. I think they're very interesting creatures. You can see that eye is moving around in all directions, trying to see if there's any danger. It was just behind this tree that we found Thandi yesterday. So it had a close encounter with the leopardess. She was just sitting right there in that spot of shade behind the tree. Andrew, you are complimenting me on the nice find. Thank you very much. If you have any questions about this fabulous find, please do ask them. Use that hashtag WildEarth and ask us anything you like. Give us your questions, your comments, and we would love to answer them. This little critter is only about 15 centimeters. It's quite a small chameleon, and they can get quite large, these flap-necked chameleons. And we can chat more about that when you come back. But let me send you over to Dylan at Tswalu Kalahari so he can tell you what he's getting up to this afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is another absolutely beautiful day out here at Tswalu Kalahari. My name's Dylan, and it is great having you with us on this afternoon's drive again, as always. And again, I'll just remind you, please feel free to ask us any questions. It's really good to engage with you, and I'm always really interested to hear the questions, the kind of, the angles that you really want us to focus on that. So please feel free to do that. I just wanted to show those of you who have been with us over the past couple of days, you may recall that we had that fantastic sighting of the black-backed jackals. I think there were 6 or 7 of them feeding on this kudu carcass. So this is all that remains of the kudu now, and it's literally just a skull and a couple of ribs left. In fact, a lot of the ribs have even been eaten off already, and there are bits and pieces of ribs lying around over here. So this carcass, the spotted hyenas actually caught him on that corner of the dam over there, and he's been dragged all the way up and down over here, and so this is now just going back into the system. Tyler says that looks cool. It really does, especially from that angle. You kind of get a good idea of the rib cage and what's left of it. But yeah, this afternoon my plans are, we're just going to amble out. I'm really keen to try and find some of the specials, like African wildcat, and maybe, if we're really lucky, aardwolf. So stick with us and we'll see if we can find them for you.
Hello everybody on the internet that's watching. Super excited to have you on board with us today. And super excited to have found all of these vultures diving down onto the ground. We're just remarking how they look almost like a plane coming into land.
What a beautiful afternoon here at Ambion Ngala. We've been so fortunate to be able to find this female leopard. And you can see she's just basically sitting under this tree. It's quite a nice warm day, and probably just using it as a bit of a vantage point in order to scan. So I'm Nikki here at Ambion Ngala, and I'm going to be your ranger today, and with me is Owen on the camera. So for now, let's start heading back to this leopard. How beautiful is she? Now, I'm not too familiar with which leopard this might be, but if we do look at some of the features, I mean, if you look at the head, especially around the face, you'll notice that it looks like quite a mature female. It doesn't look like a very young female. And earlier on, there were tracks of a male, as well as one of the trackers said they spotted a male with her. So I think she might be in that time of the year of her life where she's probably looking for a male to mate with. But it is a beautiful female. I don't think I've seen her around in this particular area. But if you notice that the colors, I mean, you'll see that she blends in very well, especially in the shadows there. Look at the spots. You can see the little patches of white, which resembles the patches of sunlight that comes through that canopy of the tree. Very beautiful yellowish color eyes. Emma 11, leopards can have different color eyes. So I've seen leopards with quite bluish eyes and sometimes a little bit of a green eye, but they can have different eyes. But not just that. I mean, if you look at the spots in general, every single leopard has a different spot pattern. It's like our fingerprints. So each person has their own unique fingerprints, just like that a leopard would have. You can see this one almost looks like it has a collar. Do you see under the head, under the chin? You'll notice all the spots almost forms this very dark line under the neck. Sometimes you have it where leopards might show that, other times they don't. But each and every leopard has a different spot pattern, and that's how you can identify some of them. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to spend here another bit of time just to see if she decides to stay here, use this as a vantage point, or if she's going to slowly start venturing off and see if she can catch up with that male.
We are sitting with a lovely group of elephant bulls who's currently come down to drink at Leopard Dam. I know you're with a leopard with Nikki. So these elephants have come down in the heat of the day to enjoy some of this nice cool water. It is a very hot winter's day, so it's a perfect time for them to come and drink. Well, welcome everyone to Eco Training Pridelands Camp. My name is Michael Anderson, and behind the camera is Gert. As I said, you're joining us here by Leopard Dam with this beautiful herd of elephant bulls that we actually found earlier today. And they've come all the way from the rocky hillsides to come and join us here at Leopard Dam. Lots of animals around the dam at the moment. We saw a big group of giraffes as well coming down to enjoy the water a moment ago. As you can see, it's a nice, fairly young bull coming down to investigate us as well. The sun is behind us and is looking into the sun, plus the wind is on our side, so it probably is coming a bit closer to investigate what we are and what we're doing here. Elephants can be rather protective of the water when they're around it, but these ones were very, very calm with us earlier today. Look at this one here, just sucking water up into its trunk and then spraying it into its mouth. Actually, we know this elephant quite well. It's got a broken tusk. We watched him tussling with another large elephant a couple of days ago. He did come off second best, unfortunately, but he gave a good attempt. He gave a good account of himself. A couple of birds are also being disturbed by the elephants. Blacksmith lapwing. So Shaggy is asking if this waterhole will eventually dry up in the winter, and Shaggy, I think it might get very low. I don't think it will dry up completely. It is quite deep in the middle, but it'll probably become not much more than a muddy mud wallow. So elephants might not be able to drink here necessarily, but they will come here, and other animals will come here to wet their bodies and cover themselves in mud. Remember, we should get rain around October, November if all things go right with us, if we have a bit of luck. And so we should be able to last the next few months. There's quite a bit of water still left. Hopefully, Shaggy, hopefully we will still have water, but it certainly will get a bit muddier. Well, we are just going to enjoy this waterhole for a little bit longer and see what else comes down to drink on this nice hot afternoon.
Thanks, Mike. Wonderful place to spend time. Watering holes is always fun with elephants. But we are not with elephants. We are still with the Unkuhuma Pride, everybody. And I know we've met them before. I just want to clarify that everyone's got the right understanding of the cubs. Now, Ridge-Nose she's got the two biggest boys. They were born in, I think, June or so last year. And then Amber Eyes, we'll show you shortly. She's one of these females here. She had 3 girls and a boy. And Purple Eye had 2 boys, and Chella 1 boy. So we need to try to figure out which of the girls is tricky. It's tricky to see. They all behave very similarly. The boys are maybe a little bit more playful initially. They lose that as they get older. Male lions really don't have any play after 3.5, 4 years, where lionesses can remain very playful for life. But the interesting thing there is that with all those boys, they're going to probably form a very nice coalition. 5, 6 boys. It's one of the reasons why lions breed in what we call synchronistically. They sort of breed at the same time. We mentioned a moment before that lioness was suckling the cubs. Any of the females will suckle. There's a communal suckling that goes on. Any one of them that's had cubs or is lactating will provide milk for any of the cubs. There's no real sort of drama there. They might get a bit overwhelmed at times, as these lionesses were when all 8 at the time were trying to suckle, and it gets a bit grumpy. But when they grow up a bit, Amy, they are looking so much healthier than they were a few months ago. There was a sarcoptic mange, which is basically a mite that burrows into the fur, and it causes enormous itching, and it causes them to scratch and scratch and scratch, and eventually that area gets devoid of fur. It leads to these sort of black patches on the body. It looks quite ugly and makes your skin crawl a bit. It seems like these cubs have turned the corner. But having all those cubs is good for recruitment. Obviously, lion cubs are it's not very successful in rearing them. They don't have a 100% success rate. Their first year is always the hardest. And so lots of cubs mean there's a better chance of at least some coming through at the end. But with 5, 6 boys, all about the same sort of age, if they do get to the 3, 4 years of age, there's a very good chance they can move off as a unit and take the genetics of this pride wherever they go.
Our flapneck chameleon has not moved much. No surprises there, as they are very slow movers. But they do have incredibly fast tongues. And their speeds, the fastest recorded speed for a chameleon tongue has been 0 to 97 kilometers per hour in 1/100th of a second. So if you thought your Golf GTI was fast, think again. You need to get yourself a chameleon. And when they walk so slowly, it's called a leaf walk, because they try to imitate what would be seen on the bush, is to not get the attention of any predators, and especially not of the prey that they will be trying to hunt. Those include lots of insects, particularly grasshoppers, that they enjoy. I love these little critters. Like I said, the flap-necked chameleon, the only one we get here in the Sabi Sands. I'm going to go off and look for some elephants now. Hopefully we'll get lucky near a waterhole.
Hello everybody, how's it going your side of the world? A very lazy afternoon here in Djuma with the lions, but that's okay. I can spend a lot of time with lions. You know, we all enjoy them, especially when they're out in the open. Craig and I have managed to move ourselves a little bit into the shade. Well, Craig's fully in the shade, I'm only partly in the shade. But the lions seem to be enjoying the sunshine. We arrived on the scene and there was a herd of impala making a lot of noise. I'm thinking the one lioness, the NIKKI lioness that was around this morning, who was really pushing the boundary, was over there somewhere. She hasn't come back yet though. We'll be going back to the SABC show shortly, everybody, so we'll catch up with you soon. Welcome back live to Djuma in the Sabi Sands, everyone, where we are still with our very lazy lions. I just love that little paw there, Craigie, on the back of that lion, the one at the top. Look at that. Isn't that just love? There we go on the right. It's on her back. So much love and affection. Lions are so cuddly. They're so loving. We call it tactile communication. They're very social. They love to cuddle. But don't let that fool you. These are wild lions, and they are sleeping. You've probably heard the old adage, let sleeping dogs lie. Let sleeping lions lie as well. They will spend a lot of time sleeping like this, but they can react in a very short moment. Scott, you want to know the biggest prey lions can take down? Well, it's interesting. I mean, elephants have fallen prey to lion. It's not common down here in South Africa, but it has happened in Botswana. But also small elephants that maybe dwindle away from the herd are quite under threat. We had elephants this morning that the pride decided, no, thank you, we're going to leave. Rhino also have the potential if they're small enough. Rhino are very powerful though. Hippo do every now and again get killed by lions, but also another very big, powerful and dangerous animal. But generally the largest prey that lions choose to select are giraffe and buffalo, and they will feed on anything else that they can come across. It's one of the major reasons lions have formed what we call prides, that social dynamic I was talking about before. One lion on its own is not able to take a huge prey animal, but as a pride, they're able to take down much bigger prey. And that's why lions are able to take on buffalo and giraffe, whereas leopards, generally solitary, stick to much smaller quarry.
So as Steve was saying, with lions, I mean, they can take down quite large animals. So just before I carry on with the story, so this female has just moved off to our left. So we are trying to maneuver through some of these trees to try and see if we can find her again. So we're just carefully scanning. Now what we're looking out for is this little flashes of white. So maybe the white under her tail, maybe that golden color as she's moving through the grass. The last time we saw her, she was moving down in this direction here. But so with lions, because there's a few members in the pride, they might take down something bigger. With leopard, because they're by themselves, would be smaller. But the biggest kill that I've ever heard about was a 90-kilogram giraffe that's been dragged up into a tree by a big male leopard. Now, a female like the one that we're following now, so I'm just, as I'm explaining this, I'm just carefully scanning. They'll probably be looking at something around about her weight and a little bit less. It could be more. There she is. There's a gap here, just off to our right. We can just see her hind legs moving. She's moving into a thicket. I know it's hard to spot. What I might just do, I'm going to ask that everyone just bears with me. I'm going to move slightly forward. I think there might be a gap. So it is going to be hard to see, but just bear with me as I slowly move the vehicle forward, where we're going to try and get another glimpse of her. Here we go. You might just find that she's in this gap right in the middle. Now you can notice what she's doing now at the moment is she's keeping her head down smelling. Now what that might be, remember earlier we said there was a male in the area. Now the thing is she might be looking for this male. And that's why she's moving from one area to another, trying to see if she can pick up his scent. And why she would do that, so leopards, as Steve was mentioning earlier, very solitary animals, so they live by themselves. But often when they are ready to mate, the males and the females will join up together And that's when they made coup de last for another 2, 3, 4 days. And then from there on, they'll probably go their own separate ways. Unfortunately, the males don't have any part in rearing the young. It will be up to this female whenever she bears the youngsters to look after them. I think what I'll try and do from here is just see if I can maybe move around and see if we can get another glimpse.
How awesome, Nikki, to have that female leopard. I have a lovely Burchell starling here. These are one of my favorite birds out in the bush. And I'm sure you can tell why. They have the most beautifully colored feathers. And that color actually doesn't come from pigment at all. The only pigment it's got in its feathers is melanin. Melanin is a great structural component too, but you would know it best as the pigment that creates a dark color in black. That shiny blue, greeny, turquoisey purple that you see on the starling is actually a result of structural coloration. So as the starling moves, different tiny little microstructures all over its feathers, and I mean really, really tiny, scatter the light in different ways. So what you see, the color that you see, changes as it goes. We call this iridescence. So when there's very little light, the starling can look totally black. Jackal, you say the sheen is beautiful. It really, really is. That's why it's one of my favorites. And it is looking for a tasty snack. 3:30. Time for a bit of a snack. Be looking for tiny little invertebrates. And you'll often see them sifting through the grass with hornbills, even dwarf mongoose, and even some drongos. And they all kind of sit together because they're after the same type of snack. Anyway, off to find elephants for us. We're going to send you over to Pinda.
Welcome back to And Beyond Pinda, everyone. We've come through the open grasslands. This afternoon we're going to be searching for some rhinos. And with it coming to the end of the day, being a pretty warm day, there's a good chance that the rhinos we're looking for will be coming down to waterholes to drink. And so we've come down to quite a big waterhole here in search of any fresh tracks or signs of the rhino. We've managed to find a bit of a rubbing post here. Have a look here where all of this mud has been rubbed against this tree. And if you look closely, can you see all these long hairs here? Now, looking at the height above the ground that this is positioned at, this is probably not from a rhino, but more than likely from a warthog, which is what these long hairs are from. But if I rub my hand up the tree a bit to this little part above me here, the tree feels very smooth. And so something has obviously been walking underneath here and rubbing up against the branches here, perhaps after rolling in the mud. And something at this height, which is probably up to about my chest, that's probably something like a rhino or a buffalo. Looking at the ground here in front of me, there's lots of fresh black rhino tracks here. So perhaps, well, it tells us that there's been a black rhino moving through here, heading off in that direction. Another clue that there have been rhinos here is if you look in front of me here, where there's this big midden. And have a look at all of this dung over here. This is all from, looking at the color of it, can you see how dark it is? A very dark black, very green color, and full of grass. So this is from a white rhino, and we can tell that because of the grass, because white rhinos eat grass. And this is where it would have scraped its feet as it defecated to help it to scent mark. So good signs, nothing too fresh here, but lots of rhino tracks, lots of rhino dung. We're going to carry on that way and see if we can find you a rhino.
Welcome back to June, everybody. How special is that? This lioness has found an itchy spot on her belly, and she's thoroughly enjoying scratching it. You've ever had one of those scratches, everybody, that you just find that spot and you just go, yes, there we go. I think this is Origina's. She's the mum of the two older boys. And she's got an itch on her belly. Ticks out here are real. And the itchiness of ticks are really, really next level. And, well, lions can reach those certain spots. And, well, she's up. We're going to stay here and see what happens next. Hello everybody, this is Ridge-Nose, isn't it? Another advertisement.
That's the one near the brown ivory tree on Zoe's.
Yeah, it's Ridge-Nose, I'm almost certain.
Okay, copy, thanks.
She's got quite a nice pink nose and her mammary glands have receded somewhat. It's Tswalu who's still producing milk and all the cubs are giving a very hard time. After that scratch, he's going to go lie in the shade, of course. Excuse me, everybody. I just need to give a quick update on the radio. Station's looking for the Ngalas for Steve.
Yeah, Steve, Vish is popping out for a little huddle. I believe you with them.
Copied, Mish. Are you coming from the north or south? I could give you audio if you just go along Mendoza, which is on the eastern side.
Okay, I'm up at the gate at the moment, so I'm going to be heading down. I'll come down via Zoe's, that area, and I'll let you know when I'm closer.
Perfect. Thanks, Mish. Welcome back live, everybody. Juma in the Sabi Sands, where we've got one of the older boys here with his flicking ear. He's fast asleep. It was his mum who was up moments before, having that wonderful scratch, licking her lips as she did so. And she is the mother of two of the oldest boys, born in June of last year. And them, as well as the cubs that are a few months older, are getting more and more feisty. Now, there you have scenes of a fully grown lioness, a potentially dangerous animal, rolling on her back, snuggling up with her friend, paws in the air. Just wonderful. Wonderful scenes. Dylan, they do sleep a lot, and they eat a lot. So whenever they do something, they do a lot of it. So when they do go on a walk, they go on a very long walk. And when they fight a lot. And it all comes down to energy. So they eat a very high protein diet. And that requires apparently a lot of time to sleep. You get a lot of meat in one go. And then you spend the rest of the time just sleeping. So they don't have the chance to feed slowly over the day. They basically just have big meals in one sitting. And then they do absolutely nothing.
We've just come over the hill from that waterhole and have a look at this enormous herd of zebra and wildebeest busy grazing up on the hillside. Look at how dry the hillside is. And remember I said earlier that now with us coming into winter, coming into the dry times of the year, that grazing is getting scarce, water is getting scarce, so the animals start to congregate around the water sources and around good grazing. And that's what all these zebra and wildebeest are doing here. But also, if we just look to the left, we've managed to find a rhino. Yay! Big white rhino moving up the hillside in amongst those zebra. So once again, everybody, this is, of course, a live and interactive safari, so we would love to hear from you. Please, if you've got any questions or comments about, or anything really, please send them through to, or on Twitter using the hashtag WildEarth, or you can also, if you're under the age of 18, email them to us at kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Now, having a closer look at this rhino, everybody, look at how it's busy, see how it's got its head down, busy grazing. And now that we've got a view of its rear end, look at how can you see how it's almost a two-tone color? There's a very light part in the front, and then its rear end is pretty dark in color. And a sure indicator that this rhino has been in a mud wallow nearby. Cooling off in the heat of the day, probably would have had something to drink. It doesn't actually look too muddy though, so I don't think it was rolling around in the mud, more than likely just lying down in the cool water to cool off. It's almost following those zebras around. Sinak, you're asking if white and black rhinos make different middens. Sinak, they kind of serve much the same function to help them to mark their territory, but they do look slightly different. So remember the white rhino I said earlier? We saw the dung and how dark and green it was because of their diet of grass. With a black rhino, because they feed on twigs and leaves, their dung is often stained kind of a reddish brown color from the tannins in the leaves and in the twigs. Also, often with black rhinos, when they mark their territory, their foot scrapings tend to be much more vigorous. And so often there are two very prominent kind of rough-looking lines, almost like a vehicle has driven in there and then slammed on brakes, like two big skid marks that goes through the middle of the midden. And that's very typical of a black rhino. They often also destroy bushes in the process as they do that. But those are kind of the main kind of physical differences. Of course, in the black rhino as well, I don't know, Sinak, if you've ever seen the little twigs in a black rhino midden. Because of the way a black rhino's molars work, they always cut twigs so that the ends have got a perfect little 45-degree angle. And you can actually see those twigs in their dung. But super exciting that we managed to catch up with this rhino. Just having a closer look at it, everybody, it does not look like it's a fully grown adult. Just looking at its size compared to those zebra. Glenn, you're saying that this is a real treat? Absolutely, Glenn. Just this beautiful vista with all the different animals. There's even some kudus play fighting up on the hillside there in front of the rhino. Fantastic. Look at those two young kudu bulls chasing each other around. Sorting out a bit of dominance. So as I was saying, I don't think that rhino, just looking at its size compared to the zebra, I don't think this is the dominant bull that would have made that midden that we saw earlier. This looks like it's still an adolescent rhino. Maybe in a few years' time, it will become one of the dominant bulls in this area. But what a special scene. Kudus, zebra, blue wildebeest, and now this white rhino. We're going to sit here and take this in for a bit longer.
Well, they didn't have giraffe, but we do here at Pride Lands. There's a big journey of giraffe. There's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 giraffes that I can see. You might not be able to see them so easily on the camera because there's lots of sticks in the way, but you can see there's another one walking there. These giraffes are all slowly feeding away from the waterhole where we had those elephants a bit earlier. The elephants did move off. There's a nice journey here, and this is a nice big male. And the rest of the giraffes here look like females, so he is probably following them with one thing on his mind. Feeding, of course. He wants to feed amongst them because they know where all the good food is. It's quite amazing. He's quite a lot taller than the other ones. I mean, he's a bit further back, but I can see already from this distance. He's very strong, thick neck, smooth muscle. And this female standing closer to us, she's quite slender. Of course, because she doesn't have to fight with her strong neck. She just has to lift her head up to get to the food. Crystal is asking what giraffes' biggest predators are. Well, Crystal, the biggest predators of giraffes are almost certainly lions. In this area particularly, I've seen many lions chasing giraffes through these kind of slightly uneven ground areas near drainage lines or water holes, and when the giraffes lose their footing, it causes them to fall over, and if they fall over, they become very vulnerable to lions. In nice, flat, open terrain, it's not so easy for lions to catch giraffes because they are very tall and very strong. Their powerful legs can kick any lions and cause a lot of damage. So definitely large prides of giraffes, usually with males, strong male lions, could hunt these giraffes. But these giraffes all look very calm, and it's a big group of them, so they're very vigilant. It would be difficult for lions to sneak up to them without them seeing them and moving into better areas. Remember, most predators require or rely on the element of surprise. And as long as these giraffes stay nice and vigilant, they won't be surprised by anything. And there they all move slowly together. This group of giraffes is not a herd. They're not staying together all the time. They're just loose association. They're just joined together for a short time because of feeding or because of water maybe coming to the water hole, but they don't stay together all the time. So we might find this group splitting up over the next few days and going their separate ways. It's nice to see big groups of giraffes, though. You don't see it often. This was a very big group. We had about 8 giraffes this side, and only about 3 or 4 on the other side as well, so maybe about 10 giraffes in total, all walking together, which is great. And there you see this female giraffe using her full height to reach up into these, what looks like a knobthorn tree. Oh, let me just use my binoculars are hidden away now. It's a tree definitely with a lot of thorns. So he's using its long, tall neck to reach up into those thorns and feed on these tiny, tiny little green leaves which they have. Of course, we know that they mostly like to feed on the trees with the thorns because they're more nutritious and they've got the adaptations which allow them to do so. See, this one here is listening to us as it feeds, or maybe not just listening to us, but also keeping its ears away from those hooked thorns. And you can see its long, slender nose able to reach in amongst those thorns, and even there now and again you see that little tongue flicking out and grabbing the leaves.
Hello and a very warm welcome rather to all of our viewers on the internet. I hope that you've enjoyed the drive so far. It sounds like there's been a lot of action from all the different locations. We're still busy watching this sub-adult white rhino walking in amongst the kurus. It's almost like he's been following along behind them. And there are some absolutely spectacular kudu bulls there in that little bachelor herd. And a real treat. We don't often get to see such massive kudu bulls, so many so close together. And welcome back to And Beyond Pinder. We're still with this this young white rhino bull rather. And he's now moved pretty much into the middle of this bachelor herd of kudu. And have a look at the one that's closest to us, everybody. Look at how magnificent and long those horns are. Those beautiful spirals. Look at how much bigger he is than those two that we saw earlier that were play fighting, that were sparring with each other. And as they disappear off into the bushes there, that white rhino is still moving over the hillside. It's now got its head down to the ground. It's obviously found some relatively tasty grass. I can't imagine that there's too much good grazing going on there, just looking at how grey the grass is. I think we're about to lose this rhino, so we're probably going to move out from here and go and see what else we can find for you this afternoon.
I am also looking for something to show you. I wanted to get up to Buffelshoek Dam, which is in our northeastern corner, but it's a bit of a drive. So you're going to have to drive with me a little bit. But I kind of like this because it means that you get to see what our actual landscape looks like. You can see there's lots of autumny colors. It's pretty dry at the moment, but that will change very soon as spring starts to approach. Our Djuma Game Reserve is 1,200 hectares, 12 kilometers squared. So when I say that Buffelshoek Dam is far, it's not very far, but obviously driving on a non-tarred road can be difficult. Jane, you'd like to know when we're expecting the first rains? The first rains of the wet season. We'll only really expect that in September, October. But we are actually expecting rain, as in random rain, on Thursday, I think. Or at least that's what the forecast says. If there's one thing I've learnt out here, it's not to trust the weather forecast. Because there's lots of little pockets. Sometimes on Djuma, it can be raining in the south and be totally fine in the north. Anyway, I am approaching the dam, so let me send you over to Steve and those lovely lions. Hopefully there'll be some elephants up here for us.
Good luck. Hope you find something at the watering hole, Trish. Our lions will probably head over to drink at some point, but we're quite far from any water, and I think water is very far from their minds as well. Fast asleep. So you saw some giraffe before, and there was some giraffe over that side, and massive big animals, 1,500 kilograms. Your average lioness weighs about 130. Some can be a bit more. Male lions can get up to 240, 250 kilograms. Some of them closer to 200, all depending on genetics. So you put that weight in versus that of a massive big giraffe, or even a buffalo that can weigh up to a ton. It's a very, very, very big animal to bring down. And Renee, you want to know if big cats get furballs? They most certainly do. We had one a little while ago doing a bit of a coughing. You've probably seen dogs or cats at home, domestic dogs and cats, eating grass, which causes them to regurgitate. Often it's on the carpet or whatever. Cats will do that all the time. These lions, especially leopards, when lions do make a kill, they eat everything. They eat everything they possibly can. Meat, fur, bones, everything. And so later on, that fur and bone that's not digestible needs to come out. And so lions will nibble on a bit of grass to do so.
So this is a beautiful gemsbok bull. It's a slightly older animal. You can see one of his horns has actually been worn off on the tip already, or it could have actually lost the tip in fighting. But it's very, very typical to see these bulls moving by themselves like this. And note how he's moved into the shade. He was actually standing in the shade further across to the right, and when we approached, he actually just slowly ambled off with a mouthful of grass. Now he's gone to stand in the shade of that bush, and it's not even particularly hot now. We're probably sitting, I'm guessing, probably sitting on 23 degrees, 24 degrees, and the temperature is slowly starting to drop. We've got a nice breeze. Even with that, this animal still seek out shade at this time of the day. It'll be great if you can see one of the breeding herds. You get these big nursery herds, a whole lot of cows, and then you get young bulls, but then a lot of calves. So now they're going to be 6-7 months old already. But those, I mean, then you can get 200-300 head of gemsbuck at a time in those. But these big bulls normally stay by themselves. And it's a common fallacy where people say, oh look, there's a bull, he's been kicked out of the herd, he's by himself. That's not true at all. It's these single animals, these are your big strong bulls that are able to defend their own territories against any other bulls in the area. Shenzi says, beautiful, it's their favorite antelope, and I think it has to be one of my favorite antelopes, certainly of the Kalahari species. They are absolutely fantastic animals. I always think it looks like they've been airbrushed. The marks on them, it looks like they've been painted. And many of you would have heard of the thermoregulation ability of these animals. Very frequently people say, oh yeah, they can cool their brain below their body temperature. It's not true, they don't do that. It's selective brain cooling, so it only cools a very, very particular area of the brain, called the hypothalamus.
So you're talking about the very interesting brain cooling of the gemsbok. Now giraffes also have a very interesting function in their brain. They've got a system of veins and arteries and capillaries. When they lean down, so this one is reaching very high in a tree, but when they have to lean down and drink, the blood would rush to their heads if they didn't have this. It acts like a sponge, keeps them from being overwhelmed and getting a head rush. It's very, very interesting. Imagine putting your head lower than your knees and reaching down and then standing up really quickly. How awkward it would be. Giraffes are amazing creatures. And this female has found herself a little tambuti tree which she's nibbling on, which is very interesting. Tambuti trees are quite known for being quite toxic to most animals. But at this time of year, maybe their toxins are not so much. Or perhaps we have another theory that the toxic leaves help to purge their stomach if they've got stomach parasites. A little bit of natural medicine. Very, very interesting. Perhaps it helps to cleanse them. Very, very cool. Rosemary, I also love their patterns and horns. It's an amazing pattern. It's very, very unique. Every single giraffe has its own specific pattern, just like zebras. So you can see there, this one here has very, very nice uniform patterning all over it, but very, very gorgeous. Nice and clean. A few scratches there, here and there, but that's just from pushing through the trees. And then, of course, the horns are, the specific term is ossicone because it grows in a slightly different way, and it's covered in fur on the top there, which horns are usually covered in keratin, that hardened material. But their horns are awesome. The females have slender horns, and the males have much thicker horns, which they use to fight with. Really, really cool. I wonder if you've ever seen a fight before, Rosemary. That would be great. Right, well, we're going to keep watching these giraffes. It's been a wonderful afternoon. Absolutely spectacular to see all this great wildlife. SABC viewers, you can join us at the same time, same place tomorrow, or you can find us on YouTube, #WildEarth. Fantastic. See you all there tomorrow.
Welcome back to And Beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve, everybody, to all of our internet viewers. Once again, my name is Damon, and we've got Marcel behind the camera this afternoon. We're very excited because we've managed to get a closer view of that rhino and of those kudu bulls. They're just moving through the hillsides here. I'm particularly excited to get a closer look at that enormous kudu bull. Here he comes. Look at those long spiral-shaped horns. He's just behind a little bush now, but I'm sure can you see those long horns there, kind of tottering or teetering above I think it's a little tambuti tree in front of him, the red leaves. And this rhino still seems to be moving around after them. It may, however, just be coincidence. Have a look at this little ravine here, where there's all these trees growing, and that's of course kudu being browsers. That's what they're coming here for. But also with that ravine being there might be extra moisture that's been collecting in there from the dew in the mornings, and so the grass in there might be a little bit lusher, which is maybe why this rhino is coming down here. Sorry about that, everybody. Radio volume is up a little bit loud. Oh, there's a little fork-tailed drongo. Did you see that little black bird that just flew down there in front of the rhino? Just in front of it now. And remember yesterday we were speaking about how fork-tailed drongos will often follow large herbivores like rhinos around, because of course as these rhinos move through the long grass or through the thickets, they flush up little insects that the drongo can catch. We're going to try for another view of these kudu bulls, everybody. In the meantime, though, let's go and see what those lions are up to over at Djuma with Steve.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome once again to Djuma Private Game Reserve, where we have still got the Unkuhuma lions. And the shade is finally catching up with them. We were wondered why they were in the sun all day, but now they're in the shade. And my name, of course, is Steve. I'm joined by Craig Savitt, or otherwise known as Batman on camera. Lovely to have Craig back in the camera seat. And we're out and about. We're probably going to spend a while with the lions. They were quite hungry this morning. They definitely were looking for some food. There is a herd of impala not far away, but other than that, we can't really make head or tail of any other animals in this area. There were lots of tracks on our way through, but it is a nicely dense sort of woodland. Here comes a cub on the move, Craigie. I don't know if it's doable for you. We do have another vehicle coming to view the lions. Hello, little one. You're very cute. If you have not been informed before, we are live and interactive, and if you have any questions and comments, please feel free to send them through. We are most likely going to spend the afternoon here. As I said, the lions were a little bit hungry this morning, so it's very likely they might get up earlier today. But in saying that, there's almost no wind. And also in saying that, the closest water to here is in Arathusa, which is just across the way, and we won't be able to follow them. They were moving in that general direction this morning, until they plopped down over here. I wonder if this one is looking for some impala in the distance, and that's why it's licking its lips.
So from the lions hopefully going to drink, we have these giraffes that just came back from a waterhole, and after probably going for a little drink, they're now going to start feeding. And you'll see the one we're currently looking at, the whole head is inside that bush, just maneuvering its way through to try and get some of the leaves. Now, based on the horn, so remember, every time we look at giraffes, we look at the base of the horn to see if they're bald or if they have tufts of hair. And this one has tufts of hair, so it is a female. But look at those beautiful long eyelashes. probably every girl's dream. Now, the reason for that is just imagine if you had to feed where there's a lot of branches that can easily prick out your eye. By having those long eyelashes, as she's maneuvering her head around these branches to try and get to some of the leaves that are more towards the center of the tree, those long eyelashes will almost act as a bit of a ruler. So as soon as she feels, okay, here's something rubbing against her eyelashes, she knows it's quite close to her eye, so she'll then maneuver her eye and maneuver her head so she doesn't accidentally prick out her eye. Even notice her ears, very sharp, delicate face in comparison to some of the males we've seen earlier. What I do enjoy about this is literally that little patch of sunlight on the side of her face. Have a look at how she's maneuvering that branch. She's actually using her lip to try, her tongue, in order to try and maneuver that branch so she can probably strip the leaves off. Glenn from Canada, I can see why he would like eyelashes like that. And as I said, it is probably so many people's dream to have those long eyelashes. I don't think we need it in terms of feeding, but I'm sure it might help for so many other things. But it is very elegant, quite beautiful, especially on this giraffe. You know what I've noticed from a giraffe, though, after seeing that leopard from earlier on, and eventually she went and she joined up with that male, and I think later on this afternoon, we'll probably start heading past there to see if they're still there. But if you look at the colors of this giraffe, it really resembles that of a leopard. I mean, remember with that leopard we saw earlier, it started off like quite a dark yellow, tawny color. And then it had more of a faded golden color, and then that white. Now, if you look at the giraffe in general, especially where the sun hits this giraffe, you'll notice a lot of the pattern and a lot of the colors look very similar. So, for now, she is moving off, but I think while she's moving, apparently Mike at Pridelands also found the giraffe. Let's head across there and have a look.
Our giraffe is not galloping off, in fact quite the opposite. I think its time in front of the camera has turned it into a massive diva, and she will not move off the road. We are effectively stuck in the bushes with this giraffe as she continues to feed on this tambour tea trees around here. She's also only wants to eat one type of food. She will not accept any other food. She's got a long list of demands, and we are loath to fill them for her. We can't do anything about it. We just have to grin and bear it. But she is very beautiful. She's a gorgeous giraffe. Look, now she's coming out into the light for us. She sees the good light, and she doesn't want anything less. Ready for my close-up. She's also got gorgeous, gorgeous eyelashes, as we talked about a moment ago. This beautiful white behind their ears. I always get shocked by how white it is behind their ears. Oh yes, she's listening straight to us. See how those ears swivel around. We always talk about how maybe it's a follow me sign of sorts when they use their ears to signal to each other. So she's actually walking off to follow the rest of the group of giraffes. Not a herd. I almost said herd. The rest of the giraffes. And she's going to disappear in the thickets right behind our vehicle. The rest of the giraffes did disappear just further down the drainage line, but we couldn't move. We were on a 2-track here that goes from one road to the next through this drainage line, and she just sat there, so we had to kind of wait. But that was all right, because we actually had a lovely chat with her. She's really nice. She's local. She's from around this area, and she's been around here for a while. Yeah. So what we're going to do now is, while we continue to follow this herd as they make their way in an easterly direction, we'll send you over to Tswalu.
It's a little family of Cape ground squirrels, and we actually haven't focused too much on them before. But what drew our attention about this little group is just the way they were sitting. They were actually sitting up and watching what appeared to be something down you have been, we've touched on ground squirrels and the fact that they'll often co-inhabit burrow systems alongside meerkats and occasionally things like yellow mongoose as well. But these are very, very good prey items for things like African wildcats and caracal. And that's really what my objective is this afternoon, is to just check different burrow systems and see if there's any sign of these little different wildcat species around her. And again, if you see an animal focused in one direction or it's watching something, don't just, oh, that's a ground squirrel. Try to understand what it's doing. And that'll often give you clues as to what's happening around in the environment. I mean, these ones are fairly relaxed, but there's that one that keeps on looking down there. And also the fact that they're sitting at the burrow entrance like that. It could be that they did spot maybe in a predator that came past, maybe a jackal or something else. But you know, see, they're not okay, there's one just gone down now. Yeah, they're not grooming or anything. I'm very happy to sit here a couple of minutes and just see maybe something pops out. Although I think a wildcat would be quite optimistic if it tried to stalk them across that open ground. Yeah, they've got the height advantage there. They're sitting on the top of those little mounds. I'm just going to actually stand up here, see if I can. Okay, it's just a leopard with cubs, so I'm not going to worry about that. We really need to try to find that African wildcat. Yeah, and that leopard's also moving away in the opposite direction, so that'll be. But yeah, no, we'll sit here a little bit longer. Linda, thank you. Linda says she would love to see a caracal, and me too. I mean, I've seen lots out here, but they are incredibly shy animals. And again, they're not big. You know, a really large male out in these areas, you'd be looking at 16, 17, 18 kilograms. So they're not large cats. And of course, incredibly cryptically colored, particularly in this environment with these hues of reds and oranges and yellows. But African wildcats, I can tell you, would go down a treat for me as well. Or a black-footed cat, how about that? But a black-footed cat, I mean, these are minuscule little things, and they only come out at night. I think I've only ever seen one in the late afternoon. But yeah, I know, these burrows are hotspots. So I just want to tell everyone, how's this? Jean-Dre on the way back from the drive this morning gets the most fantastic African wildcat sighting. We had 2 separate vehicles, and he just had this most beautiful African wildcat sighting at a burrow system like this. And that, unfortunately, again, is an area where we don't have any signal whatsoever. So it wouldn't have been worth us spending time there this afternoon. But that's exactly the reason why I'm sitting I want to check these burrows. That, you know, these are real jackpots for the predators. You know, if they can do a proper stalk at a burrow system like this, there's a very, very good chance I'll catch something like yellow mongoose, ground squirrel, meerkat, anything like that.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
The lions pounced. You know that classic sort of cartoon of like Tom and Jerry or something like that, where the cat jumps and puts both hands on the floor? and then like lifts one slowly to see if it caught anything. They did that for about 5 minutes, right towards the end of drive. It was really such a highlight. Sorry everybody, it seems like we're having some sound issues. My lapel mic is working in my pocket. It doesn't seem to be transmitting. So for the moment you're hearing me through that very tinny sound of the ambient mic. How's my ambience, everybody? I hope that story came through right for you. Okay, well let's try sort out our sound and we'll send you over to and beyond Ingala with Nikki.
It's just such a beautiful afternoon. I mean, as there's this golden rim on the grass. And so basically what we're trying to do now, there's quite a few elephant tracks that are crossing over this road, and they are heading off in this direction here. Now, this direction is where we have that beautiful waterhole where we did some birding this morning. Now, the chances are these elephants could be heading down towards the water to drink. So that's what we're going to go and hopefully be able to see. Now, I haven't heard any branches breaking. I haven't heard any rumblings of the elephants. But I mean, the waterhole is still quite a bit of a drive away. So hopefully we can... Sorry, I thought I spotted something. But hopefully we'll start making our way in that direction. So normally with elephants, especially in this area here, is often during the winter time the water holes start drying up. So there's only specific water holes where they'll then go and drink, which are more of a permanent water source. And so you find these elephants have to move quite far distances in order to get there. But what's nice about it is that you almost, if you start seeing a lot of trucks crossing over the road, you know there's a chance you might even be it might be possible for you to get like either the herd or maybe a few members that are trailing at the back, maybe some elephant bulls, because often the elephant bulls, they're not necessarily in the herd. Once they get to the age of 16, they get kicked away by the matriarch or get pushed from some of the other females, and from there on they venture off by themselves and often join up with other elephant bulls. So what we're going to do is head to that water and hopefully there'll be some elephants around, or possibly even buffalo. I mean, if we see some more giraffes and zebra and wildebeest, I'd always love to do that. Crystal, with some of the plants, you find a tree here, and it's actually quite amazing because Owen and myself were talking about this particular tree, known as the Tamboti tree, and the animals can eat it, but if, let's say, something like a wildebeest, if they had to eat any of the leaves, so let's say there was a lot of leaves amongst the grass, they could potentially get sick from it, but I don't think necessarily die. But there are other plants, I can't think of one at the moment of some of the forbs that you might possibly get that could do that. But in terms of the general grass species, they can eat everything. I think once it starts accidentally consuming something else with the grass, maybe some of the leaves from that particular Tamboti tree, it might be sick, but I don't think it will necessarily die from it. So what I want to do though, is for all our viewers who don't know a Tamboti tree, I'd like to show you this tree, because you know what, in some of the African cultures as well, it's a really nice tree in order to use for fishing. So it's not necessary that you'll make a hook or line or anything out of it, but the actual leaves of this tree is so toxic that when you mix it, or if you crush it up and you put it in the water, it kills the fish. And then they can cut the gills off and the head and then eat the fish. But I'll definitely, as soon as we start seeing that tree. Now, another thing about that tree though is that tree will grow in areas where there's a lot of like a clay soil. Now you'll see here, this is a rocky outcrop which is covered, or it's dominated by a tree known as a bush willow. So most of the trees you see here, some of the knobthorns, these are combretums, and of course the knobthorn is off to the right. I just want to quickly stop like this just to show this general area. Now let's say if I had to, just want to make sure there's no lions or anything around at the moment before I just jump off. But let me just move in behind some of these trees here. So if I show you some of these, so this is from a bush willow. Now the tree behind me here is a silver cluster leaf, and then this one also here is a Russian bush willow. So there's a few of these ones around, and also the type of habitat you find here is a very rocky outcrop, and so because of that, you know that you're not near water. Once you start going away from this, and you start seeing more trees, and you start moving away from this particular plants, more towards Timbuti, maybe even marulas, or those jackalberry trees, we'll probably then be closer to water. But I think while we're carrying on here, we're going to send you to TRISHALA, because apparently she has an animal that absolutely loves water, the one that we're looking out for.
I finally found these elephants. I wanted them so badly. I was missing them today. And these two young boys are playing with me. Hey, I know you. So this one is getting a bit brave. And it's making the other one on my left also feel a little bit brave. Hello, are you working together? It looks like they've been drinking at the nearby pan. It's just a little mud wallow that's got a little bit of water in it. That's why they've got a bit of moss on them as well. Oh, look at that tusk. One of the tusks there is broken at the edge. It's actually cracked down the center. That must have been a bit painful. Kathy, you say sassy pants? That is just the type of lingo that Emma uses. Sassy pants indeed. Look, this one has a mask. A leaf mask. See some grey go-away birds in the tree there. You can hear them. Listen to that. Oh, we're going to get a display of how strong this young man is. Show us. Now look at that. That is a really nice way to see the position and the way that they use their trunk to break a branch. Oh no, why? I was telling you. I was just telling the viewers about how good you are at breaking branches. They'll put the branch between their tusks. Oh, it almost looked like it was going to grab that drongo. The grey go-away birds, and there's also some lilac-breasted rollers that are chatting quite a bit. Well, here's Sassy Pants is coming back our way. Now a little bit less sassy. Hello, you are too gorgeous. Yes, you are. Yeah, don't lose your balance. Oh, I just love them. I love them so much. I could spend all day watching elephants. This individual, he was the one that had a bit of moss on his face, on the other side of the face. Darcy Ann, you say it's amazing to hear the cracking of the branches. It really is. Elephants are such powerful, magnificent creatures. They're so large, yet so gentle. Oh, Liz. Oh, no one wants to break the tree for us. And listening to them and watching them use this strength is just beautiful. Absolutely stunning. All right, well, I'm going to try and see if I can find the rest of the herd. I see them there. I'm going to send you over to a special bird.
A very special bird indeed, and this very special bird has been giving us the runaround, everyone. We spotted it from quite far away, and we've been trying to get near enough to it to actually get it on camera, but it keeps changing its little roosting spot, not because of us. We haven't. This is the closest we've been able to get to it, everybody. It's been hunting, it's been scanning its surroundings, and it is a secretary bird. Have a look at that beautiful little crown on its head of black plume-like feathers or black quill-like feathers. And that orange face. Look how bright that face is. See it busy grooming itself? And then look at those long and skinny legs. For some of you that have never seen one before, I suppose quite an unusual bird, a bird of prey, almost like an eagle, but with the legs of a stork. And this secretary bird has been walking around in the long grass. Like we said, we've been trying to keep up with it. It's been walking and busy hunting. And what they'll do is they'll walk around through the long grass looking for insects or small rodents or even snakes. And something like an insect, they'll just kind of grab with that typical raptor or bird of prey hooked bill. But something like a snake, they'll use those long, powerful legs of theirs, and they'll actually stamp on the snake's head to kill it before they eat it. But right now, look at how it's perched up on that little umbrella thorn tree. And it's probably going to be looking for a spot to roost pretty soon. And a flat top tree like that, where it can launch into the air to fly away and escape if need be, is a perfect spot for it to rest. Now, as Trish said, a very special bird, and one of the reasons for that is that they are threatened due to a loss of habitat, and they do need quite large territories. Them being monogamous birds, meaning that they mate for life, and they have their strict territories that they live in, and they need quite a big area in which to live to find enough food to survive and raise their chicks. So a bird that is unfortunately under threat from human development, but that makes it all the more special for us to have been able to not only find it, but also to get it on camera for you. Apparently, lots of you saying that it's a fantastic view of the secretary bird. Absolutely. Up on that flat top tree with the blue sky in the background, very, very special. And it's just such a pity that we can't get much closer to it. We don't want to spook it, because they are just such magnificent birds. Just in their anatomy, and just in also that beautiful orange face, like I said, and those fantastic quills coming out the back of its head. It's also got a very long tail, almost like the coat tails of a fancy suit. A very, very attractive bird.
So Gert and I were driving around and we came across this gorgeous old leadwood, and it's got wonderful patterns. And then we just saw something really cool in the tree. That over there is a large leaf rock fig growing inside this dead wood, which I think is really cool because normally we find large leaf rock figs. This is a different plant completely that normally grows on rocks, and so to find growing in this tree is very, very strange, because how did the seed get in there? How did it get in there? Normally the seed would fall from the tree, from the fig, onto a rock. The roots would infiltrate in a crevice and start growing, but the fact that this one is growing on the side of this tree is super weird, and I wonder how it's going to survive. It's not a parasite. The roots are not taking anything from this tree. Well, it wouldn't matter anyway because this tree is dead. But the roots are going to find their way maybe somehow in here, and as this tree dies, the dead wood rotting material should begin to give this tree some nutrients. I can see there's a branch here that looks like it's dead, so maybe something snapped it off, maybe a monkey like myself climbing up. Oh, Tammy, that's a good idea. Maybe a squirrel stash. Now, normally I wouldn't say squirrels eat a lot of figs, but they certainly could. They are omnivores. They eat pretty much anything they can find. So maybe a squirrel stash something here. I'm trying to see. It doesn't look like a very big hole, but on this leadwood I don't see other holes anywhere. It's quite a solid piece of wood. So I don't know if it would be a squirrel stash, but it's a good idea. I was thinking maybe a bird flew onto this tree, and then when it was trying to eat the fruit up here, maybe a seed fell down, or maybe it was cleaning its beak maybe, and a seed went, I don't know, it's really, really interesting. Perhaps, who knows? But whether it'll thrive, I don't know. We were talking about it, Gerrit and I. I've never seen a large leaf rock fig growing in a leadwood before. I wonder if any of you have seen large leaf rock figs growing on trees anywhere else. If you have seen one, would love to know about it, that are not growing in rock themselves, because that's the only place I've seen them growing before. And it'll be interesting, in like 5 or 10 years, figs grow fairly quickly, but they do live a long time. It's a soft wood, so it grows quite quickly. In 10 years' time, will this fig's roots have reached the ground, and will it be slowly wrapping its way around this very strong old leadwood? We know the leadwood will stay standing as it is now for hundreds more years. It's an incredibly hard wood that's very resistant to termite activity. Sarah thinks it's really cool. Sarah, I think it's cool too. That's why I've braved climbing up into this tree to show you, because actually I'm terrified of heights. Right now I'm trying not to look down. But yeah, it's super cool, and I wonder to watch it over the next few years and see what happens. And now, whilst I figure out how to climb out of this tree, I'm going to send you over to Trish.
These elephants are moving right into this drainage, and it's actually amplifying the sounds of the cracking and pulling of the branches. Of course they want to stop every time I mention it to you. Lovely sounds, and the sun is just so soft and beautiful. Just a nice peaceful scene. Enjoy ourselves with a bit of elephants. Well, we have Ellie butts at the moment. Still enjoyable though. There's a view of another one just a little further ahead that might be a bit better. Shall we move and have a look? Emma, I'm going to grab that question from you again. I just started up at the same time that you started to ask it, so I lost part of it. Let's look at this little one here. Hi Keith, you were wondering how many different breeds or types of elephants there are. So you get the African elephant, which is this one here. You also get the forest elephant, we don't get them here. And the Asian elephant. And those ones, as you would have gathered, are in Asia. Hello, little one. Ah, yes, come into the sunlight so we can see you. Ooh, missioning towards us. Now, of those elephants, the African elephant is the largest. While the Asian elephant is the oldest or earliest. In terms of geological age. The records for actually age or longevity of an individual elephant is held by Asian elephants. In the upper 80s, but Asian elephants can be kept in captivity, while African elephants really, really struggle in captivity. In fact, I'm not sure of if there are any zoos that actually keep them, which is a great thing, actually. Well, I think I'm going to dip down, or dip onto the other side of the drainage while these guys dip down. Hopefully we'll catch up with them.
Using all of our cunning and all of our stealth, as stealthy as you can be in a big game drive vehicle, we've managed to creep a little bit closer to this secretary bird. And having a look at it now, see how it's busy grooming itself? That's how one of the many ways we can tell that it's unperturbed by us being here. And how fantastic is this view now? Just able to see all of those fantastic features. Oh, look at opening the wings, oh my word. Just repositioning its feet in the top of that umbrella thorn. That's a very, very thorn-filled bush that it's in there. That umbrella thorn with both straight and hooked thorns, so gotta be very careful where it puts its feet. Oh, it's sitting down, no ways. And that's what it's just done there. See how it's just sat down onto its belly? That's very typical behavior of a secretary bird that's roosting. That's exactly how the secretary bird will spend the night now tonight. Up in that umbrella thorn, resting. And we were just discussing, well, myself and Marcel now, we're just talking about how at this time of the year, this is also the time of the year when secretary birds tend to be nesting. And Hannah, I think this will answer your question. You're wondering about if they nest in trees or on the ground. And Hannah, they'll nest in trees just like this umbrella thorn tree. This is one of their favorite trees to nest in, one of their preferred trees to nest in, up on the top of that canopy, with that very kind of flat top. And they'll build a big nest. Both male and female will work together to build a massive nest out of sticks up on that tree. And it will take them quite some time to bring all the sticks together and arrange them nicely. And then the female will lay eggs, and she'll incubate them for most of the time. And the male will then have to bring her food, keep himself fed, and then once the chicks hatch, he'll have to bring his mate and the chicks' food all together. And we were discussing yesterday afternoon actually, we were talking about how a bird nests will affect the color of the eggs. So this secretary bird will lay big, very prominent white eggs, and that might seem strange based on the fact that those eggs are going to be kind of up on top of a tree and pretty open and easily exposed, easily seen by creatures that could try to eat the eggs. But because that female is going to be on those eggs incubating them, and she's a big, to be frank, pretty intimidating bird, there's not much that's going to try and get up there and try to eat the eggs. She'll be able to defend them, and so because she'll be there most of the time, she doesn't need to have her eggs be camouflaged. They don't need to be a cryptic color or have speckles or anything on them. But we have been seeing a pair. Oh, just trying to get more comfortable. It seems every now and then there's a bit of a breeze that blows through, and that secretary bird just has to readjust. There's those long tail feathers I was talking about earlier, almost like coattails. But how amazing are those contrasting colors, the white and the black, the white under the tail, those red legs. Oh, and that face, just absolutely gorgeous with the orange and the yellow. Emma's saying that he looks like he's going off to the opera. Oh, it looks like he's got comfy again, and very carefully settling down once more to rest. We're going to move on from here, everybody. I'm very keen to try and find a black rhino this evening. And with the sun going down, with black rhinos being often more active at night, I think this is the time of day now when these black rhinos that we're looking for are going to start to get active. We're going to go and try and find one of those. In the meantime, let's go across to Dylan at Tswalu for an update. Welcome back, everyone. Apparently had a bit of a technical issue over at Tswalu. Of course, that's does happen every now and then when we're broadcasting from the wilds of the African bush. So I think we're going to spend a bit more time then with the secretary bird, seeing as we've managed to creep even closer and it still hasn't reacted to us. So I think this is our license to spend a little bit more time here. And it's definitely playing its part. Look at how it was looking at us for so long with that lovely orange face. And now look at those quills at the back of the head. Look at that very sharp bill that it's got there, hooked on the end to help it to tear flesh, as gruesome as that sounds. Amazing how it just disappears into the canopy of that tree. Wolf Eagle, you saying you wonder if this secretary bird has got eggs there? Wolf Eagle, I don't think so. We didn't see a nest up there, and it was kind of doing this for the last couple. Like I said, we were trying very hard to try and catch up with it, and it would fly to a tree, hop up onto it, and kind of reposition its feet a little bit as if it was trying to find a comfortable spot to roost. And it did this on a few different trees, and it seems that this is the one that it's going to settle down on. So no, I don't think, Wolf Eagle, that it has got a nest there. If there were a nest there, we should be able to see the nest of sticks from here. And I think that both male and female would be there. It's unlikely that a female would have left the eggs unattended if the male was out foraging. But I'm hoping, we've seen them in this area now a couple of times, and I'm hoping that over the next few weeks we can actually manage to find their nest if and when they do nest. Because wouldn't that be fantastic to follow the progress of a secretary bird chick from when its parents obviously build the nest, lay the eggs, and then follow its progress as it grows to the age where it can actually fly by itself. I think that would be really special. I'd also love to watch and see what this secretary bird parents would bring for the chick to eat. I think it would be quite interesting to see snakes being flown in, and rodents, and all different kinds of insects. can be absolutely fascinating to go and investigate under a tree where a big bird of prey has been nesting. Up in the sand forests in the far north of Ambionpinda, there's an abandoned crowned eagle nest. And of course, a crowned eagle being a massive eagle that preys on all kinds of large vertebrate prey, well, large for a bird that is, so monkeys and small antelope like suni and red duiker. It's fascinating to go and have a look around the base of the tree to see the different bones and remains from all the prey items that it's brought back for its chick. Things like monitor lizards and genets and bush babies and hardy-dar ibises. Very amazing. Okay, we're going to try once more to send you across to Dylan at Tswalu to see what's going on there.
Apologies for that little break in the comms there, guys. It's so good having you with us, and what we've done now, we're still not giving up hope for wildcats. That's on the cards every single minute that we're out here. But we've actually now moved probably 15, 16 kilometers away from the mountains. This is a completely different area. You haven't seen this area before. Some of you may have actually been to Tswalu and would know this area. It's called Kalkpan, which means a calcrete pan because of these light-colored rocks. And what we're going to do for the rest of the afternoon, Chandra and I, we're just going to sit here dead quietly. Obviously, I will talk every now and again, and tell you what's going on. But this little pan often produces excellent viewing, whether it's sandgrouse or jackals or oryx, wildebeest, all sorts of cool things are going on here. And as we approached, interestingly, there's a couple of vultures here. They were actually sitting on the ground, so almost certainly they'd been bathing. You know, the vultures are actually very, very clean animals. And these ones had actually been bathing as we approached. They just flapped up very gently into the tree. These are white-backed vultures. There was a lappet-faced vulture as well. He flew off. But these ones that we can see in the frame are whitebacks. So we will go a little bit closer to the waterhole. We'll pull forward about another 100 yards. And then I'll just see where I actually want to sit up. The wind is coming from the right-hand side across like this. And it's always quite important to take note of wind direction. You know, it does. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, some of you are saying that you haven't seen vultures with us before, and the key reason for that is most of our time has been spent up and down relatively close to the mountains, and it's an interesting feature. There's a huge amount of turbulence over those hills, those Coronaberg hills, and we suspect that's probably the reason why you don't get that many vulture sightings. We do occasionally, but not as frequently as you get them out in these areas. This little pan, for instance, you sometimes get 200 vultures at a time sitting around this waterhole. And this also just gives you some idea of the scale of this area. I mean, it's a vast and wild landscape. But I think if you're keen to spend the next hour and a half with us, not in one go, of course, but feel free. It's going to be really, really exciting, and I think we should get some fun game viewing out here.
So hopefully Dylan will be able to find some of the animals coming down to drink, but in the meantime, we're back in an open area here at Ambionpinda, and we just found this big troop of baboons, and it does look like they are slowly heading to the area where they'll probably spend the night, but you can see as they're going along, it looks like they might be picking off something off the ground and then eating that. I'm just trying to see what it is. I'm not too sure. But you can see the whole group scattered in this open area. Now, they're one of my favorite animals to watch because often just seeing the little ones, how they can sit down and patiently like try and scratch under the rocks, maybe even flick a branch across, see if there's any scorpion, maybe a cricket. Just anything to snack down before they have to settle in for the night. Penelope, how great is the sighting? There's actually another youngster that's sitting in the sun, closer towards us. But have a look at So we'll go from here, we'll go slightly just to the left. There's a youngster right in the middle of the screen now. Have a look at the way that it's just hinged down and picking something. It looks like it's almost like picking some of the grass. If you notice, the half of the tail, or quite a bit of the tail, is missing there. And I wonder from what that could have been. Maybe, as there was a bit of a rivalry within a troop, one could have accidentally bitten the tail, and then because of an infection could have fallen off, or maybe even a predator, but we're not too sure. It's just interesting. I would like to know from the viewers what they think. What are some of the options? How this baboon lost its tail, or half its tail. Owen reckons it might have been a leopard. Who knows? I mean, that's a good chance. Maybe one of the bigger adults, as it was up to a bit of mischief, could have given it a bit of a bite, and then you just never know. It does look like quite a big troop of baboons. I mean, just sitting here, I can at least count close to 30 baboons. Might be a little bit more, might be less. Let's enjoy this for the time being, but in the meantime, let's send you across to a little bit more of a skittish animal that's not as relaxed as these baboons, but around a waterhole.
So we've got a duiker here, a grey duiker or common duiker, which looks like it might want to come and drink at our camp dam, elephant dam. It's very unusual. These are very, very shy animals. They very rarely come down and drink in these open places. They'll normally be coming out at night, if anything, in the cover of darkness. We see them very active at night here, very much less active during the day. This is a male. You can see with those thin, very sharp and pointed horns. Although, of course, there's a little bit of movement around our camp. People preparing for evening dinner, a few students preparing for their assessments, that kind of thing. And so the movement has got it a little bit nervous. But I think it's going to come and drink. This is pretty cool. These antelope are very, very territorial and usually don't have a large territory. So this will be the same duiker we see around the camp every night moving around. And there'll be a female most likely as well, which shares the territory. Remember, these are monogamous animals. They'll normally mate for life, which is pretty great. Go on, don't be shy. Have a drink. You'll like it. Oh, that's great. Jackie, duiker are really cute. Very, very skittish, shy, very small, sweet-looking little antelope. Very similar to steenbok, just a little bit more grey in colour. But I agree, Jackie, they are very, very cute. So nice to see one drinking. I mean, I don't see them very often drinking, to be honest. They normally get chased off by any larger animals that are near the waterhole, and also just being exposed like this on their own. Remember, they're not part of a herd like impala are. They can't, they don't have lots of other pairs of eyes and ears looking out for them, so they have to be very, very vigilant. You can see this one's actually got its ears behind it, listening to whatever might be sneaking up behind. The geese are actually helping it quite a lot, because geese are quite alert animals and will often alarm and fly up if they sense any danger, like if a pack of wild dogs would turn up, or a leopard or something. That's super cool to see. I wonder what else might come and drink.
So we've been in our search for a black rhino this evening, everyone, and the sun is starting to slowly set off to the west. We've come upon 2 white rhinos, though, for now. Busy grazing up on top of a ridge. Have a look at how they're almost 2 different colors, everybody. See, the one at the back is a much lighter gray, and the one in the front and now to the right, a much more rich, kind of goldeny brown or reddish brown color. Just shows, well, I think the one on the right, just looking through my binoculars, looks like he's been rolling in the mud a little bit. Look at that drongo flying around the rhino's ear on the left. Looks like it was maybe picking off some little insects that may have been attracted to the rhino, maybe some flies. What's quite interesting to note, everybody, is just having a look through my binoculars when these rhinos, when we first found them, is that they're both males. And have a look at how big they are. They're both fully grown rhino bulls. And at this size and at this age, they will definitely be territorial, holding their own territories, defending their own territories against each other, basically. But look at how they are coexisting completely peacefully in front of us here. And so I think what's happening here is that one bull has come into the other bull's territory, perhaps in search of food or perhaps in search of water. And this is not unusual behavior for white rhinos. If one bull does need to move into another bull's territory to get food or water, he will be accepted, so long as he doesn't behave territorially. So as long as he doesn't try to scent mark or try to approach any females that might be in estrus, he'll be accepted. Now, which of the two rhinos actually lives here and which one is the intruder or the guest, I'm not 100% sure. But pretty amazing to see. I see that drongo still flying around them. Look how long the grass is here, everybody. Imagine how many little grasshoppers and little insects there must be in there. MJ, you saying what a beautiful place. MJ, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's just such a magnificent backdrop. The rolling grasslands going off into the distance behind these rhinos. To see them out in the open, on the open grasslands here, with the lovely golden light. Very, very pretty. Look at the bull on the left. He seems to be quite twitchy. Look at how he's now looking off into the distance, listening. But I think these two rhinos are going to carry on feeding down that hillside, so we're going to leave them shortly and we're going to go see if we can find a black rhino for you.
Welcome back, everybody. I don't know if you can get him, Craigie. It is actually, it looks like a juvenile battalier. For anybody who wants to see a battalier this afternoon, it looks like one flying. He's going a little bit far. I had a little look at his face a moment ago. Terathopius equidatus. He's doing a little bit of a patrol. I don't know, double check to battalier. Sometimes with these brown raptors, battaliers are the easiest to identify. Oh, it is a tawny eagle. Of course it's a tawny eagle. Battaliers are the easiest to identify with the naked eye. A tawny eagle is looking for something the lions might leave behind. Nice work there, Craigie. We are still with our lions, everybody, as you probably noticed when you came back to us. We had a moment where we heard alarm calls from the distance. Impala's going crazy, so we quickly left, rushed off to find out who was shouting. Couldn't find them. Couldn't find the animals shouting and couldn't find what they were shouting at. But good news is the lions have started to do a bit of grooming. Started to prepare themselves for a night out in the wild. Cleaning those nails, licking the feet. There must be something wonderful about licking one's foot. Smith, you want to know if lions walk to new locations in the day or the night? Well, it's very uncommon to find them in the exact same place, but they get up and move. You'll find them in the same place if they have a kill, if there's a large kill, or if a lioness is possibly denning. But other than that, they're generally moving. Generally moving. That's why we have to track them down every day. I remember a wonderful question from a guest years ago after spending 5 hours tracking the lions. We eventually found them, of course. It took us the entire morning. We found them, and I think on the way home or later that afternoon, the same guest asked me, so where do you keep your animals at night? I had to do everything in my power not to laugh out loud. These animals are wild and they go wherever they want to go. They're constrained by territory. They are constrained by food and water. And the territorial animals will generally stay inside their territories. They can sneak out of them from time to time, but they generally move back in and stay within that boundary. I know James Hendry has said many of his funny and guest-related stories, and probably books and books of it. The lions are slowly starting to get up, or shall I say, move. Everybody found that quite funny. Well, you should have seen my face, trying not to laugh. Trying not to laugh. We are moving into that delicious light realm. Golden light moving through the yellow woodland leaves, basking its radiant energy on the tawny cats in the long yellow grass. Lots of descriptive words there, everybody. I do apologize. I was trying to be quite poetic. Indeed. So that is Amber Eyes, everybody. For those of you who don't know the pride, Amber Eyes is the cutest, as you can tell. She's like, it's me. I'm Amber Eyes. She is a big female. When you find her track, you sometimes think it's a male. She's a very big girl. She's one of the stalwarts of the pride. And she's had her first successful litter now. In the time I've been here, she's had 2 that both failed. She had it at a time when the others weren't breeding, so it's possible that that's what happened. This time around, 3 lionesses pretty much bred at the same time, which has led to much more successful breeding. And now we've got a total of 9, which is very exciting. And I've spent a lot of time with these lions, and I intend to spend a little while longer.
The light at the moment is just so beautiful on these zebras. Oh. Just have a look at the beautiful colors on the zebra. Now it's getting to that time of the day where we have these golden colors. So that's the last hour before the hour before the sun starts setting, and of course the first hour as the sun rises. But the colors normally this time of the afternoon are just so spectacular. Now there's actually a whole herd of zebra just in front of this one, and I think eventually this one might even go and join up. You can see the others moving on the back. There's some more zebra moving from the right to the left, and pretty soon probably join up with the rest of them. As I mentioned a few drives ago, zebras are definitely one of my favorite. And the reason being is because of the stripes. It definitely has to be the stripes, the whole pattern, how the stripes can go from the neck into the mane, and how beautiful the colors are. And whenever they do stand close together, it almost looks like an optical illusion. Sarah, they're absolutely unique. And as I mentioned earlier, I think with every one of them, That's very interesting. Earlier on, the one defecated exactly at that spot, and this one has just moved, smelt, and now defecated there as well. So it's very interesting. These others that also look like they might be joining, and it'd be interesting to see if they also, when they get there, will start defecating. I mean, I've never seen this, but I mean, it could be something unique in their behavior. Let's have a look. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are heading in the same direction to go and join up. What I'm going to try and do is just try and be quiet. You might just hear their feet as they are moving through the grass. It's hard to hear because I mean, from us, they're probably 40, 50 meters away. And they just stopped at the moment. So we'll just wait and to see if they can move, if they'll move forward. I'm going to stick here for the next little while, but in the meantime, let's send you across to TRISHALA. Apparently, she's found a cat.
I have. We've happened upon the Talamati pride. Well, this is quite interesting because the Nkuhumas are also on the property. Now, they are not terribly close to each other. The Nkuhumas are all the way in the south, the southwest, and this is directly north on the junction of Gauri Cutline and Buffelshoek boundary.
Hey, well, let me know when you've got an open space in that.
It's a bit of a busy sighting because it is on the boundary. So we won't get to spend a lot of time with them. But that's okay. Let's just appreciate the fact that we have so many lions today. Very, very cool. Dizzy, you say you're not familiar with these guys? Well, they are the lion pride from the north. I haven't spent much time with them either. One of the lions had quite a large growth on the elbow there. Oh. All up and moving now. I'm just gonna keep an eye on them because unfortunately, like I said, it's a busy sighting and it is on the boundary. Alright, let's just try and catch up with them and we can talk about who they are a little bit more in a bit. But like I said, hopefully we'll be able to catch up.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
So this is so exciting, and you've just got to bear with me on this, please. So we're at this woodall. We've created like a little man cave here again, and we've just put a couple of little branches around this tree stump to break up our outline, and we're just going to sit. Unfortunately, the wind isn't perfectly in our favor. It's coming kind of diagonally across us towards the water, but I'm still hoping that we're going to get some interesting things coming down to drink. This waterhole can do one of two things. Either it produces incredibly well, or you see next to nothing. So I'm hoping for the former, not the latter. But whichever way it works out, it is still amazing to be out here. It's a completely different landscape to what I think most of you are used to on our drives. And yeah, I think it's just going to be great. There's so much bird activity now. It's mostly Cape turtle doves and laughing doves that are coming in to drink. On the whole of Tswalu, this is probably one of my favorite waterholes to watch lanner falcons hunting. Because it's such a wide open area, these lanner falcons can perch far away, sometimes 300-400 meters away from the water. And they wait for all these groups of doves to come and drink. And then they come in with this incredibly fast, low flight, 5-6 meters above ground level, hoping to ambush the doves. And you can just see this constant flurry of activity, in and out and in and out. And of course, we are completely exposed here. You get buffalo that sometimes come and drink at this pan, and so we'll keep on checking behind us. There's no ways we'll outrun a buffalo in this open environment. Chilla has asked, how large is the reserve? Tswalu, you're looking at about 120,000 hectares. So it's about 250,000 acres, just over 1,000 square kilometers. So it is a massive, vast tract of wilderness area. And it is incredibly beautiful. I mean, I've been here 15 years and I'm still exploring the place. And it is so much fun to do that, just to get out and just explore literally. Every day is different. You never know what you're going to find.
You never know what will happen in the African wilds, everybody. Staking out watering holes or bird hides or something is something I absolutely love to do. You just need some snacks and some coffee, some water or tea if you're not a coffee drinker. I know Emma Openshaw, who is busy directing, is a very big tea drinker. Whatever it is that gets you through the day, you can spend lots of time at a watering hole waiting for those little things to come out. It's patience. Patience is always a virtue, as they say, and if you spend time at these watering holes, I've spent many hours at a watering hole, and you often get people that come in and they walk up to the hide or the watering hole, whatever it might be, and they leave immediately. And look, okay, I don't see anything, leave. But it's like taking a photograph of a moving train. You know, you're not going to really experience what it can all offer. I don't know if a moving train is the right example, but it's like taking a still picture out of a movie, that's right. And that is all you experience by taking that simple little photo. But if you spend time and experience the movie, life will always play out for you. Magical things can come down to the water. I mean, look at Dylan the other day. Brown hyena just came out of nowhere. How wonderful. Okay, everybody, well, our delicious light is slowly starting to fade on these lines, but definitely the movement has increased from what it was, and Amber Eyes keeps looking in the direction of those alarm calls that we heard. But what's positive about it is she's looking directly at Vuyatela Dam. Well, the direction anyway. Vuyatela watering hole, and she's often one of the lionesses that gets up and the rest follow. If she looks to the other side, she's looking to leave the property. If she looks the other way, she's pretty much looking towards where the telemates are sneaking in. But right now she's looking very inward and reflecting on her very busy day of sleeping in the long grass. Making some mental notes there about what to do. Yes, mental notes. You might notice her eyes, how dark they are. That is where she obviously gets her name. She's a beautiful, beautiful, big, powerful lioness. She's still a little bit sleepy. Sophie, they are doing some meditation, just sitting still, closing their eyes, focusing on their breathing. In and out, let it focus on the natural breath. Sniff the air, try not to identify anything that comes to your mind. A Zen lion, can you imagine? Animals are actually, everybody, very in the moment. They don't get carried away with thought. They sleep, and then they move, and then they attack, and then they eat. There's no real, overthinking. We can take a lot out of the lifestyles of lions and animals. Maybe not lions, because they sleep an enormous amount, but out of all the other animals, they're always busy, they're always alert, they're always focused, they're always in the moment. They're not thinking about tomorrow or thinking about what happened yesterday. There's nothing you can do about either. Right now, I'm thinking about grooming. Okay, well, while our lions get all zen and clean for the night, let's send you over to Trish, who's on the move with the Telematis.
Our lions are on the move. They really look like they're on a catwalk. Awesome. Now we're talking a little bit about who they are. I said they're the pride in the north, often on Buffelshoek. In fact, the Avoca Coalition, to which the Nkuhumas belong, they're also in charge, shall we say, of the Telematis, but the dark-maned Avoca hangs out with them. Now, I know there's 5 lionesses, 5 adult lionesses, and there were a heap of cubs. I know there was a nice male, I think, a young male. Is that him coming along there? Looks like there's two males, young males. Last time I remember there were at least 7 cubs, but I'm sure there are some of you out there who know more about the cubs than I do. I know there's 5 adult lionesses. There's those 2 males are walking together there. Look at their beard. I call it a beard before it becomes a full mane. Lance, you say this is beautiful. It certainly is. And they seem to be chasing the light a little bit. Awesome. It's a really nice view of that male through the bushes to the left. It's just sat down perfectly for us. How lucky are we? How often do we get to see the Nkuhumas and the Telematis? And Megan, you say he's super handsome. Well, the Telematis have a pattern of creating some super handsome males. If I dare say, my favorite lion, bless you, lion, my favorite one was the Telemati male that had joined the Nkuhumas for a short period in 2018. He was a stunning lion. I'm not sure what's happened with him, or if he's joined any coalitions and things like that. Oh, gorgeous. We thought that him and the Nkuhuma male would have been together. And then he left the Nkuhumas. gorgeous. Look at that pose. Look at those eyes. Just so nice to enjoy them with the setting sun. Anyway, let's go for a bit of a lie-in break. I'll send you over to one of the other guides.
Alright, you've caught me at a bit of an awkward moment. I was testing something out, and it does actually work. This over here is an old rubbing rock. And what's crazy about this is that you can see over here, there's rough, weathered rock material. And then here, look, see how much lighter it is. It's smooth. It's really smooth to the touch. This has been rubbed on by animals like elephants, rhinos, buffaloes, warthogs, and many others for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. This is not a very weathering resistant rock, but it is a rock nonetheless, and it takes a long time for a rock to be worn by someone's skin or an animal's skin to this extent that you can see. It's absolutely incredible. This is probably a piece of basalt. If I just look at the color of the soil around here, very nutritious soils. It's an extrusive igneous rock, which means that it has very small crystals. Something like granite, which is an intrusive igneous rock, it forms underground, has large crystals and is very resistant to weathering. You'll never get smooth rocks like that from granite. So it's really, really quite cool, and I haven't seen anywhere else on any of my safari adventures which had a rock quite this weathered, which is amazing. And also, when I stopped here and I was busy fooling around, and Gert was having a good laugh at me, I noticed all the grass around here. Now, I'll stand to be corrected. Maybe if some of you can recognize this grass, or you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think this is called couch grass. And it's got this interesting reddish color. I don't know if you can see it in the contrast with this rock here. It's got this very interesting reddish color. And if you ever find clumps of grass like this, which haven't been eaten by animals, around here lots of the grass is very short. It's been eaten quite a lot. This one hasn't, and it's because it has an incredible smell. It smells sweet. Gert was saying a bit like camphor. You know, like what you rub on your chest a little bit if you've got a bit of a chesty cough or something. But it's really... Oh, stuck that right up my nose there. Oh, it's really, really, really a nice smell. This would go perfectly if you put it on a bowl on your table or in a pot somewhere. It actually looks very nice as well. And they use stuff like this, not exactly this couch grass, but other grasses like turpentine grass to protect crops and grain. In the old days, before they had proper ways of keeping stuff safe, sealed containers, you would line the pots and baskets with this kind of grass, and it would keep the mice and rats from smelling your grains and things. And so they wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't chew in your baskets to get at the food that you wanted to keep stored for winter or something like that. So that's really, really quite cool. And there's a huge amount of it here, which is great. And I've never seen so much of it growing in a huge area. Magic Dragon Wizard, thank you for pointing that out. Magic Dragon Wizard said there must have been quite a lot of bums rubbing on this stone over the years. You're probably right, which now makes me feel quite awkward that I was... Oh, you know what? I'll just add one more. Why not, eh? There you go. Now I don't feel so awkward anymore. I've just added my own bum to the mix. But yeah, this is really cool. This is something that you won't see very often. These nice smooth rocks like this, worn by thousands of years of animals rubbing against them. And there's all around here. In fact, Gerrit and I were also just discussing, I'm covering myself in couch grass. I smell really nice, I suppose. Helps when you live in a tented camp. We were discussing that maybe there might be a lot of rocks here which have been used by humans, because this rock can be shaped and rubbed into bowl-like structures and smooth like this. There's probably quite a lot of rubbing bowls where people would have ground flour and grain and maize and all sorts of things in order to produce breads and things like that. So it's really, really cool, and maize and stuff. So what we're going to do over the next few weeks, we're going to be looking for something like that to see if we can find an old... In fact, I might have just found one. No, that's just a smooth rock. It's not a rubbing stone. But we'll find one and we'll show you. I'm almost certain in an area like this we'd find lots of them. So as we travel around here, we're going to keep our eyes open, and if we find any, we'll definitely show them for you. In the meantime, we're going to send you over to Tswalu.
So our stakeout is in progress. But apart from the birds, nothing yet. But it's still early days. We've got a good while yet. But I'm really, really, really hoping we're going to get something coming down. And I've got binoculars. We'll keep scanning, because with these massive open areas, field of view pretty much in every direction. The closest is about 100 yards. The furthest is about 700 yards, 800 yards. So we should be able to see something approaching from quite a long way away. Such a beautiful place, and it's so incredible to be out here. It's the diversity out here, the diversity of habitats and landscapes is what always blows me away. Correct, Penelope. Penelope says it's barren, yet so alive. And that is true of even the most harsh environment. I think even if you go through to, and I've never been there, that'll be on my bucket list one day when I'm big, places like Antarctica, and that is even these seemingly barren and even arid, and Antarctica is arid, believe it or not, covered in ice, but you can't use it. But still, these arid landscapes are just incredible. Just the diversity of life that they support. And Tswalu is far from that. We are semi-arid savanna. And yet it can be incredibly harsh at certain times of the year. Especially a little bit late in the year when the temperatures are picking up. No rain's falling yet. It can be really hot, really dry. But it's always incredible, the diversity of life out here. From the smallest things to the biggest things. This will be a really good pen for African wildcats as well, with these calcrete boulders lying close to it. Lots of bird activity. Very, very, very good area for African wildcats. So if we're very lucky, we'll get jackals and things coming down, and maybe some larger game as well.
Still on our search for that elusive black rhino, everybody. And we've come across quite an interesting little bush here. So this is a young tamboti tree, but have a look at all these little sticks and how they've been chopped off, and it looks almost like someone's taken a pair of pliers or side cutters and has clipped them very neatly. They're all cut at a perfect 45-degree angle. And I remember earlier we were speaking about the dung of a black rhino and how the twigs in the dung have all been cut off at little 45-degree angles. This is that very same feeding sign. This is where a black rhino has been feeding, everyone, on this little tamboti. So it would have come in probably from over here, and then it would have pushed its face into the bush, and then using that prehensile lip of it that it's got, it would have kind of gathered up the twigs and branches and then kind of ushered them into its mouth, and it's cropped off all these little tamboti twigs and all the little leaves. So very exciting. It's not a super fresh feeding sign, but hopefully because black rhinos are territorial, it means that this one that fed here isn't too far from here. And from here, have a look behind me, see all these thick bushes. We're about to go up into quite a dense tamboti thicket, the perfect kind of place for a black rhino to have been resting during the day. Like I said, with them being mainly nocturnal, this is the time of day when they're going to start to get more active. And there's a big water hole up the hill from us here that we're going to go and check. Hopefully now, just the right time for a black rhino to go down and drink with the setting of the sun. So we're going to head up there and see if we can find one. And while we go and do that, let's go back to Trish and see what those lions are up to.
How beautiful on the termite mound there. They're all still on the buffalo circuit boundary. One lioness did come onto the fire break, that's into Juma, but out again. Oh, I see something spectacular coming towards that mound. Oh my goodness. It is dark-maned avoca. Wow, his mane is spectacular. I can't tell you how long it's been since I've seen him. Wow, wow, wow. Oh. Whoa, he looks great. There was a time when I saw him that he wasn't great at all. He was quite thin, and an injury on his lip, on his foot. He looks, spectacular. MJ, you say Darkmane is in the house. You can see he's still limping, but he most certainly is in the house. Looks like they're actually moving into Juma. Let's move forward a little bit. There's something a little bit concerning is that one of the males I saw what is called a hygroma, which is basically a fluid-filled sac on the elbow generally. And it is the presence of which is linked to TB. So that's not too good. Okay, let's see, we might get a nice gap here. Maybe I'll be able to show it to you too. Wow, you know, I always imagine that I'll see something at this quarry, and it never happens. And now the Telemati Pride is sitting all over the quarry, where I sometimes go and look if I can find fossils. You can see that front right paw is still injured. And he is out of the house now. Just with a quick flop, the lion becomes invisible. Vic, you say Irish wolfhounds often get those sacs as well. Those sacs are a result of constant trauma on that joint. So it's not only TB that can cause them, but the presence of that is associated with the TB. Not TV, but TB. And in the case of lions, they can get bovine tuberculosis from eating an infected buffalo. But like I said, it comes from repeated stress on that joint that causes that fluid-filled sac. So it doesn't have to be TB, but it can be an indicator. At one point in the Kruger's history, 90% of the population tested positive for TB. Bovine TB. It is something that we know lions can get. Oh, doesn't that look lovely? Clear black and white or black and light markings on the ears. The tips are just a tad lighter than the body. Sometimes they can even be white.
How far are you now?
Oh, that looks awesome.
I'm opposite Buffalo Dam nearly. Are you still in Gary?
Gorgeous. I might have to leave the sighting to give space to others, so I am going to send you over to Steve while I check out if I have to.
Buffalo side.
Thanks, Trish. Well done. I wonder if Trish has seen the Telematis before. I've only seen them once. Such a wonderful pride. And we are with our lions that are still doing a bit of grooming. There we go, Amber Eyes. Lick me on my back. You know, when you've got that friend who will give you, pat you on the back or scratch your back. That's what's going on here with these lions. A little bit of love. Oh, there we go. That's actually not Amber Eyes. getting a bit tricky to see their eyes now. Oh, yes. This can sometimes be the best time, everybody. Just wait for it. They might get a little bit playful. Oh! Now that would have hurt if that was your head. 130 kilograms plopping on your head. That was straight out of the World Wrestling Federation, called a neck breaker. It's one of the young lionesses that hasn't yet had cubs. Tell that by her. Oh, she's going to scratch. Yes, this is always very exciting. Right there. I think this is the sister of the Unkuhuma young male who's been pushed away. Very pale eyes. Getting ready, everybody. Craig and I are placing bets about which direction they're going to go. We've both done the licking the finger, sticking you in the air. She's going to go that way, Craigie. I had two choices. One was right and one was left. Because the wind, to me, is coming directly over our bonnet. Craig disagrees because we both licked our fingers differently. Oh, she's going to pee. Such a lady. Such a lady, yeah. Well, that is not the direction I would like you to go. If that's the direction they go, they're going to be out of the property in 5 minutes. It's interesting to see this morning the NIKKI lioness was moving a lot and the pride was following her. Now this is another youngster moving. It's normally the adults, the senior adults that lead the way. So it just goes to show that the younger lionesses are fully fledged adults now. Although she hasn't had cubs yet. There is the cuddle puddle. That lioness at the back is the NIKKI lioness. You can see that scar on her neck. I think it's her. The other day that scar was a little hole in the neck. It looked, it's not the NIKKI. Bless you. There was a hole right into the throat. I wonder if it actually penetrated. It's quite incredible the injuries that these lions can survive or recover from. I remember once seeing a lioness that was picked up by her face by a hippo and picked up, and a tusk went behind her eye into the skull. Another tusk went under the jaw into the mouth, and it picked her up and threw her like a rag doll. And she was very painful, for a lot of pain for some time, but she eventually recovered. Very yawny pants lions going on here. Or come in for a little cuddle. Come in, let me lick your face. Here we go. Where have you been all day? I've just been over there. I'll lick you back. Oh no. Problem is all the lions are now starting to have their ablutions around us, and that is one of the most important reasons to know what direction the wind is blowing from, because a lion poo is not the nicest of smells in the world. If I had to rank it out of 10, I would definitely rank it on the lowest curve of about 0.1. Hey Craigie, what would you out of 10? Smell of lion. Oh, you'd say solid 10 out of 10 for wonderfulness. Okay, well, TRISHALA's with lions as well. I know she's had her fair share of lion scat. I wonder what she thinks of the smell.
It is 10 out of 10 for stinkiness. In fact, I find lions to be even a little bit smellier, particularly when they're going about their ablutions, than hyenas. Now look at these two on top of that building sand mound, basically. Oh, look at that look. Oh, that's such a look of hay. Oh, she's beautiful. Stunning. So I've seen at least 13 lions, minus the Avoca male, 13 telemates. But there's a lot hidden in the grass as well, and this quarry, there's lots of little nooks to play in. Oh, this light is gorgeous. Oh, Laura Moore, you're so right. You say the Disney princess head tilt? Absolutely. Here's the male with that growth. Hygroma. Oh. Giraffe girl, you say 13 is correct for the telemates? Well, here we go. Thank you, Giraffe girl. Thank you very much. Guys, you don't know how many times I've come through this quarry and hoped to see something, and then thought, no, but you know, it's not the prettiest area of the reserve. And ta-da, there's a whole pride of lions. I love the one sitting on that sand mound, because not everyone is not a termite mound. Stunning. Lions just have such a presence about them. Like they carry with them this force as they walk. And all animals have that. It's just a different type of feeling. And lions really feel strong. Tom, you say if you could sleep like this, you would? In a quarry, Tom? I'd love to be able to sleep like a lion. Yes, just like you, gorgeous. Just like you. Wow, she's neat. Yeah, sometimes you just look at an animal and you think, that is a really neat looking animal. I feel that way about Lalamba. In terms of leopards, I feel like she's very, very neat looking. Ah, this is that female that's blind. I think that right eye of hers looks a little bit cloudy. Looks like I might have to pull out after this segment. Let me just let them know. Stations, I'll leave after this segment, so you can come in. Always sightings on the boundary are ones that, you know, people in the north want to come to, and we want to come to, especially since it's on the boundary and like literally can be seen from the boundary road. It's high in demand to those who can't actually traverse Djuma, like us when we're vultures on Gari Main. Okay, well, there we go, a nice last look at these guys, because we do have to leave this sighting. So glad to have shared it with you, so glad indeed. So I'm gonna head off. I'm gonna send you over to Damon at Pinda.
Myself and Marcel had a bit of a stakeout at that waterhole, everyone, waiting for a black rhino to come down and drink. But alas, we had no luck. So I think we're going to move out of the area and start to make our way back towards the lodge. But on the way home, we've happened upon this enormous elephant bull. I'm going to keep quiet, just listen to him feeding. Listen to him chewing. Almost a bit of a crunching sound as he was passing leaves and creeper vines into his mouth. Megan, you're saying, wow, this is a really big guy. Megan, this is actually just having a look at this elephant bull. We've got to look at his face before he moved into that thicket. It looks like it's that very big bull with just the one tusk that you all saw with Clive, I think it was 2 evenings ago, when they were all, those 3 bulls were drinking around that little waterhole. So yes, he is a very big elephant bull, Megan. Quite an old elephant bull as well. And I wonder if he's not right now on his way down to that waterhole to go and quench his thirst. Oh, listen to him breaking all the branches off of that tree. And then chewing very slowly. Such a special kind of sensory experience to spend time with elephants when they're feeding. Especially if it's getting dark like this, if you park a safe distance away and then just listen to the sounds of them feeding. You can't really see them too well. Listen to the sounds of branches breaking, the sound of their hide rubbing up against a tree branch. And then that very slow, rhythmic chewing once they put a branch into their mouths. There's that chewing again that I was talking about. And also just to see his back outlined against the sky in the dark. Oh, and look how he's pushing deeper into that thicket there. I wonder if there aren't perhaps some tasty creepers growing in there for him to feed on. Maybe some bushveld grapes, those big fleshy succulent leaves. Maybe even a couple of fruits on those bushveld grapes. Apparently everyone absolutely loving the sounds of the evening. The crickets chirping and the odd bird calling as it goes off to sleep. It's a very, very special time of day, a magical time of day. Got the last orange embers of light disappearing in the west. The fantastic sounds here of this elephant bull. very special. We're going to leave this elephant bull, everybody. Myself and Marcel are going to start to make our way back towards the lodge, see what else we can find for you on the way back. In the meantime, let's go across to NIKKI and Ngala.
At the moment, the trackers on their way back to the camp said that they spotted a male leopard. Now, what we're trying to do is we don't know if it might be the Mkoti male, so that young, relaxed male that's often seen around in this particular section of the river. But they said they had the leopard there, so we want to make our way into that area to go and have a look and possibly see if we can find that last minute leopard. So keep your fingers crossed, and how amazing would it be if we do find this leopard. It is getting to that time of the evening as well where you can see you've already started putting on a jacket. It's getting nice and cool. And this is often the time that leopard will start moving. Bobby, how beautiful would that be? Last minute leopard. Proper leopard. So we're not too far. I think it may be another roughly 3, possibly 4 minutes before we get into the area. You might just see it now and again if my radio does move. I'll get hold of one of the trackers just to hear if there's any other update. But for now, let's send you across to TRISHALA.
I'm so glad that we managed to have that sighting. Even though it was right at the boundary and it was brief, it was gorgeous. Really, really nice, especially with the sun that was just starting to escape. I thought it was perfect. So now I am looking for perhaps a last-minute leopard or a last-minute chameleon. I haven't been chameleon searching on the northern end, as far as I can remember. So maybe it's worth a search. But mostly I'm feeling maybe that we'll get one of the cats. A redstone, you say you're hoping for a last-minute hyena. Ooh, that would be awesome. Oh, about the hyenas, I didn't update you because we were at the Telematis, but I did go past the den and all 3 cubs were there, but there was no adult around. So we decided to leave. Well, obviously, we're not going to stick around if adults aren't there. Just us driving up and seeing them there, they popped their heads out and they wanted to come to the vehicle, and that's exactly what we don't want. Because we can't protect them like their mother can, or like any hyena, adult hyena can, if a lion or something else comes along. And they're very vulnerable. Their curiosity might actually hurt them. My eyes are... At this time of the night is probably the worst time for your eyes, or it is the worst time for your eyes, because your eyes are starting to adjust from using its cones to using its rods primarily. If rods are the ones that are light, sensitive components of your eye. And so tricks get played on your eyes quite a bit. I'm sure I saw a leopard there that turned its head to look at me. But no, it was a log, which my light was bouncing off, so created that movement. Alright, I'm going to send you over to Dylan, since he still has a sunset for you.
So it's been a, so far, fairly quiet stakeout here. But this happens, you know, and at least we're here and trying. But I think over the coming weeks, I think I'm going to come back here a couple of times maybe. But then what I'll do is I'll leave very early in the afternoon and actually drive out here, and then we spend sit here the whole time. Because also now it's a little bit cooler, so the water requirements for animals is probably a little bit less than it would be if it's hotter. So I think if we get here and we settled in before the start of the drive, and then I think we might be getting some really, really good stuff. But thank you everyone for all your patience. I really appreciate that, man. No, this landscape, I can't agree with you more. Whoever says it's a lovely landscape, it is just out of this world. And I just wish with my whole heart that you could actually all be here on the ground and actually smell the air and feel the sand and see the dust in the atmosphere and hear the birds and just feel the breeze. This is just the best thing on earth. Oh man, and this golden glow, orange glow out to our right. Yes, this is so absolutely incredible. Peter says this is the best man cave. Totally. Absolutely. I can't think of a better man cave on the planet. Unless maybe if it had books in. Yeah, maybe some books. But no. Just wildlife is the best though.
So we managed just to get here in time. So this is the young courty male. So he is moving off. It does look like he spotted something in the distance. It might have just been a bird that just flew up and it caught his attention. I'm just going to move forward a bit. Here we go. I'm going to just pull over to the side. So it looks like there were some baboons off to the right, and that's probably what he was having a look at. And the direction that he's heading now, if he keeps on going that way, he's actually heading down to go and drink some water. So what I think we'll do is let's loop around, because there's a good chance he might just end up at this particular waterhole to drink. I mean, there's no guarantee, but at least if we give it a go, we might find this leopard drinking out of this particular waterhole. So we're just doing a loop around here. There's actually a road that's coming up, and then we'll just veer in and hopefully see this leopard coming to drink. Amanda, thank you so much. It's just, I think we've been very, very lucky. If it wasn't for the trackers, we probably wouldn't have seen the leopard, but it's definitely made my day. I just want to see where I'm going at least and see if he's coming down. Just want to stop with the water right in front of us here. And just see if he comes down. Oh, here he comes. He's actually on the side at the moment. So, oh, and I'm going to just quickly put my red filter on. And then I'm going to show you. He was on his way down towards the water's edge. There he is. David, I agree. We'll call it Tracking Tuesday. Any Tuesday, as long as it just involves a leopard and a bit of tracking. Yeah, he's just behind the tracking seat at the moment, but we'll probably see him now. There he is. You might even hear some of the baboons that have spotted him. does, yeah, and I can't agree with you more. It's just such a handsome leopard. And what a day. I mean, all the sightings that we've been seeing, I think we're very blessed. And also just watching a beautiful sunset, seeing a leopard drinking. What a good day or a good sighting just to close off for the day. And I can just wonder what this male is going to do from here. He'll probably start moving off. So what we're going to do quickly from here on, we just want to switch off the infrared just to show you the sunset at the moment with the mountain in the back. So how's that leopard drinking with such a beautiful mountain range? But we're back in infrared just to have another look at this leopard. This had to be a highlight for the day, just being able to see him like this. And what we'll do even from here is we'll probably follow him on for another little while. But I think from all of us, we just want to say to all the viewers, thank you for watching for this afternoon, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow and then carry on. But a lovely day to everyone, and hopefully we'll see you soon.